that'd be another thing entirely. For fuck's sake. And we are live. Scatterly, Bob, howdy. Well, welcome to episode 2 of Werewolf Wednesday. This is an American Werewolf in New Jersey, and I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got Eric from Hey Internet Eric here.
My pleasure, dude.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you on. Haven't seen you since the Hangout stream. And I've got returning also from the Hangout stream number 2, we got the Agoraphobe. So he's agreed to join us here to shoot the shit and attempt this new format. It looks like we'll be having some guests later on this evening drop in on us, so that'll be cool. How's everybody doing? It's been a couple of weeks. I haven't seen you guys at all. I mean, Eric and I exchanged in Gore. We exchanged a few texts and DMs and that sort of thing. But everybody's good?
Doing good, man.
Yeah, all right.
Glad to be here.
So, earlier today, I was in my first live stream with Sydney from Cinema Cities. And it was very cool because Mr. Dan stopped in and he said he got home from work. And he said, oh, there's a fucking live stream going on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm home early from work and, so I can watch the stream. And then Patrick came on to make cool. some sort of... Yeah, I got to get him on the show.
He'll be a good guest.
Yeah, and unfortunately what's happened is I talked to him and he said he's got regular Wednesday night meetings. So Wednesday's bad for him, and I will have to work something else out, maybe a Tuesday night or something like that and get him on board. Because, he's always in the stream and, he's always kind of, been supportive of the show and hanging out and stuff like that. And, we communicate a little bit on IG, but I haven't gotten around to it. So, I don't know. I had taken a little time away, and then I had struggled a little bit with some filler because I was doing the watch-alongs, but then I was doing the watch-along for Lamb, and then I did the watch-along for Barbarian, and then I did the 2 episodes of Cabinet of Curiosities, and they were great to fucking watch, but, I mean, I was getting slammed by YouTube on the copyright claims.
Yeah. I've been there, dude. Trust me, it freaking sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the videos, like I think Barbarian got blocked, and then the second episode of Cabinet of Curiosities got blocked, and I've created like a scripted response for disputes. So what ends up happening with these disputes, it hasn't failed me so far. After like 2 or 3 days, the ban gets lifted. The block gets lifted. And the copyright claim stays on for like 30 days, but it never, they just let it go. But the problem with that is that it kills the access to the video. When you've got a copyright claim, like your video doesn't appear very much in the algorithm, it kind of gets pushed to the side. And, it's like, 30 days later, when, it's cold, your video sort of gets reintroduced. So I'm thinking about just dropping watch-alongs, or at least the way that I was doing them. And I don't want to do a watch-along where it like you're watching me just look at the screen. Like I was working on perfecting like a transparent overlay, like I showed you in that picture from X-Ray Girl. But I haven't been able to do it so far. I just, because... the people on those shows have like Quarter Black Garrett and like Perry Chan from like Louder with Crowder producing their videos. I've got me,
right.
So it's a little more difficult.
That's why I do commentary all the way through mine. That's why I talk all the way through mine. I do kind of like a live commentary. You know what I mean? So that way you're just not watching me watch the show the whole time.
Well, what I think I'm going to do is I'm tempted to just delete the 2 Cabinet of Curiosities and then just do like a pre-recorded review of the whole 8 episodes. And that should be fun. And then, I've got a lot of other movies, like I was on here today with Sydney talking about After Yang. Part of taking the time off was also realizing that this thing that I talk about is never going to have a huge audience. It's just, it might at some point, you might have a video that takes off. You never can tell. You never know.
Well, look at your Apocalypto video, dude.
Very
unpredictable. Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is what I'm talking about is a niche kind of thing. This top shelf kind of thing. I'm not talking about Cocaine Bear. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about fucking Violent Night. And I'm going to keep up on some of the, I've got what I can't wait for Friday night on Netflix, Del Toro's Pinocchio.
I'm psyched for that too.
With stop motion animation.
That looks real good.
It just looks next fucking level. I mean, it looks dark.
My son's excited about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about there. And I'm moving now into things that I seriously just want to talk about. And Sydney's coming back next week to cover Black Crab. I've wanted to do Black Crab for a long time. And this idea came up for the Wheel of Fucking Horror. And so, you always have those things where, you like spin the wheel and, what does the fucking dial land on? Yep. And I was like, I forget what, maybe it was on Twitter or something. And I just saw like a wheel. I was like, that would work for a fucking live stream if I could find people who are interested in it. And the idea is very basic. It's very basic. I don't have a fucking wheel, and I don't have a fucking vanity model behind me, like Vanna White, spinning the. I'd have 10,000 people in my stream if I did,
Yep.
But that I could randomly select from this horror, sci-fi, and no series, no series, but horror, sci-fi films. And hey, we would select some and then talk about them. And what I did, and I talked to Sydney about this today, you remember that scene in Jaws where Dreyfus is sticking his hands in the dead fish and pulling out the pieces to prove that it's not the shark, it's a shark, but not the shark. That's what I did about a minute before I went on. I went through my collection, and with head up like this, I just kind of stuck my hands into the collection.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I've got like 8 different piles here. You can't see them all, but I've got like 8 different fucking stacks.
Okay.
And the first stack fucking fell completely over. And so I just kind of am fumbling, and, I pulled one. And then and next thing you know, I had, out of 8 stacks, I pulled 6 movies. I haven't looked at them at all, honest to God. And they're sitting under my chair right now. So what I said we would do, I would pick 3 to 6 movies randomly, dispassionately, and then I would present them, and we would generate some kind of conversation. And to prove that this was a good idea, or at least that we were on the same page, Gore asked the same question that you did. What if you pick a movie that I didn't watch?
Right.
And my response was... Hello?
Are you asking Gore?
Either of you.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think you've ever told me.
Yeah, I did. I said, well, I said, 1, we could carry it.
Okay.
And 2, worst case scenario, you'd find a new movie that, you haven't seen yet that you could add to the list.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you could always do it again. You know what I mean?
Well, I accidentally did look at one, and I can't remember what it was. And I was like, no, I think I looked. And, it was The Green Knight. A24 is The Green Knight. And so I was just like, no, not that. I have, you stupid cat, I'm going to kick you across the room. Get out of here. You fucking flea bag. Get! I'll give you, you're missing an ow if you don't knock it off. Damn cat. So, people wonder why I drink. Jesus Christ. Stop it. You're being annoying. This is why I closed the door.
Easy.
Fucking cat. Not a moment's peace around here. All right, so I thought that we would take a minute here, and I would just reach here under my chair and select the first movie. And
spin the wheel, make the deal.
I'm going to spin the wheel, make the deal, and the first movie is... this is a good one. This is a good one. Oh, yeah, buddy. I hope so. Will you pardon me for a second? I'm going to close the fucking door. Hold on.
You go right ahead. You go. You take care of your cat.
Thank you.
Oh, kitty. Well, kid,
One thing, it's another.
right?
Yeah, when he said spin the wheel, it made me think of Halloween Havoc. Remember spin the wheel, make the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they used to
Yeah.
tell what type of wrestling match they were going to get.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that wasn't exactly the best. For some reason, no matter what WCW tried to do or started to do there toward the end, no matter what concept they had, it just wasn't working.
No, no. When they spin the wheel and it ends up being like a coal miner's glove match, which no one fucking gives a shit about. You know what I mean? I think that was the last time they ever did it.
It would always land on the worst possible concept.
So yeah, it was a mistake not to close the door.
You good now, Mike?
Yeah. I'm
Doors
good.
locked, everything?
Oh, where were we? All right, we were just about to get to it. The first movie that I picked is Ginger Snaps Back.
Okay.
Had anyone seen this? The third and final movie in the Ginger Snaps saga.
I have seen the first one, which I wasn't much of a fan of, but you are still telling me to see this prequel because you said it's one of your favorite werewolf movies.
It absolutely is one of my all-time favorite werewolf movies. It might be my favorite werewolf movie.
I don't remember that one very well. I remember the first one really well.
Yeah, that was kind of a high school movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of a high school movie, and it was like this metaphor for like sex or something like that.
It was a metaphor of a girl getting her period and stuff like that, with werewolves thrown in there.
It was a werewolf coming of age movie. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I own the other two Ginger Snaps.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hold a shadow. They don't hold a candle to this movie.
Because that takes place in like the 1800s, doesn't it?
Yes. In the 19th century, the Fitzgerald sisters, Ginger and Bridget, take refuge at Fort Bailey, home of the Northern Legion Trading Company. But the ground is cursed and no one leaves for fear of the monstrous beasts lurking in the area. So for reasons that you don't understand, the girls are wandering through the woods with a horse. And next thing you know, they end up at the soldier fort. And the soldier fort, they get rescued by a Native American, an Indian guy, because they end up getting in some sort of trouble. I think one of them accidentally steps in a bear trap or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's another bear trap. What were we just talking about with bear traps?
Hunter.
Yeah. Yep. It's not quite that bad.
Oof.
But they end up getting taken to the soldier fort that has been besieged for months by werewolves. And it is raw and it is a nasty film. All of these guys are like right on the fucking ragged edge. And you've got like a demented fucking pastor that's living in there, because it's all because of sin and abomination and all these different things. And you actually get to see the sisters do something other than like walk through a high school hallway or infect some sort of boy or I can't remember what the second one was about.
Now in this one, it's a prequel. Is it still like the same bloodline, the same characters, or is it just they just got the same actresses and just put them in this period piece?
My understanding is that it is the bloodline. This is the origin of the story and how the sisters first so this is Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning. Okay. So this is how the sisters are originally infected.
Okay.
And it's just such an I'm trying to think of what some of the better modern, and I'm not talking about The Howling, I'm not talking about American Werewolf. I mean, some of the within the past 20 years, what some of the better werewolf movies have been. And you and I have covered Howl. Gore, have you seen Howl? Gore, are you there? Can you hear me? No? You gotta watch it.
I haven't seen it now.
You gotta watch it, man.
Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers, okay.
Yes, I've seen Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers, of course, is a solid film.
What was it called that you and me talked about, Mike? Is it called Dark is the Night or Dark was the Night?
That was a Wendigo. That was kind of a Wendigo story.
Okay, all right.
That was kind of a Wendigo story. But Howl was one that we covered.
Howl was great.
Yeah, and I covered Joe Johnston's The Wolf Man.
Mm-hmm.
But that was under a Something Shitty banner.
Right.
Back when I used to do that. And that's really not a great movie with Anthony Hopkins, the orangutan werewolf. He looks like an orange fucking orangutan. I'll never figure out why they did that. But this, on the other hand, is one of those movies that I saw, and it was like a Sunday rainy afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was years and years ago, 10, 15 years ago. This is, what year is this movie? 2004. So it's coming up on almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I just happened to, it was the first Ginger Snaps movie I had seen.
Okay.
And so naturally, by comparison, the other ones that have come along since then have just fucking paled.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, I mean, nowadays we're not really getting a lot of werewolf movies or anything like that. I mean, you know, the closest I've seen was that Werewolf by Night thing that they did for Disney Plus, and I didn't like that at all. So
I didn't watch it.
Now, Eric,
mm-hmm.
you know, should be willing to attest as a character witness. You know, that so far I've been batting 1,000 with the recommendations.
Yep, and you know, like we've added Hunter x Hunter to the list. So far, you have not steered me wrong once.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to you getting to Ravenous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to you getting to Black Hawk Down, Possessor.
And for Christmas time, like I said, for my channel is I Trapped the Devil. Yep, I'm gonna check that one out.
That's a serious fucking movie. That is a serious fucking. Have you seen any of these, Gore?
No, not yet.
See, man, you know, I mean, this is the whole reason that I do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the hopes that, you know, a couple, because coming up next month will be 2 years. I'm gonna have to do 2 years. I'm gonna have to do a 2-year show. But I've come to realize that just at the 2-year mark, that's, you know, it's only going to be a couple of people that grab onto these things.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, to talk to you, you know, and to, you know, have you say, holy shit, you know, that fucking movie was great, you know, whether it was Howl or, you know, The Devil's Candy or, you know, Gore, we haven't connected on too many recommends yet, but Howl, Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning. I'm sure you can find a used DVD for $1 because guess what? Nobody's talking about Ginger Snaps Back.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. And in fact, it should be a movie that I cover very soon.
Yeah, the only one that anyone ever talks about is the original one.
Yeah, and it's the worst. It's the worst one. Yeah, it's the worst one. So yeah, Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning.
I think that's on Tubi. I might add that to my queue.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on a second. Let me check right now. I'm pretty sure it is. Hold on.
And I'm interested in the cast. Like Catherine Isabel, for me, she's hit and miss. I think she's more known for just being attractive than for her acting skills.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
All right, I'm going to add it right now. But I really like.
You got Tubi, right? Watch it tonight, brother. If you got nothing else to do, it's 90 minutes. 90 minutes long. Yeah, 94 minutes, and you'll be impressed. Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning. You will be impressed, guaranteed.
Oh, all 3 of them are on it.
Yeah, yeah. But the third one is the one, you know, that is worth it. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Should we go with the next movie?
Let's do
I have no idea what it's going to be. Here I go. Oh boy. I didn't see this one coming. Oh God.
Oh, that doesn't sound too good.
No. It's a really great movie. Here we go. Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, that's a good
Sleepy Hollow.
movie.
I was just thinking about this movie the other day. I don't know why. Maybe somebody had just mentioned Johnny Depp or something in a live stream or something like your favorite Johnny Depp movie or something.
Yeah, me and Knight, we did a favorite Johnny Depp stream last week.
Okay. This is this is a pretty top-notch Johnny Depp flick.
Yeah, and Tim Burton too.
This is right before, towards the end of Johnny Depp doing right before he started doing the big blockbusters, when he was still doing weird independent films, fun stuff. This is great. Christina Ricci. Whatever happened to Christina Ricci?
She was just on that Wednesday Netflix show. Me and my daughter watched it. We had fun with it. Yeah, she was in. I think she's in every episode, but she does a lot of independent stuff. She's still very active, but she does a lot of independent stuff.
Is she the one who did Black Snake Moan?
Yes.
Oh, that was some kind of fucking movie. Holy
that
shit,
was a great fucking movie too.
Yeah.
But oh god, Sleepy Hollow is one of those ones you want to try. Maybe not every year, but you always want to try to catch it around Halloween time.
It's got a great tone, man. It's great and dark. It's got great cinematography. It's got great set design, man. It looks like they're in Sleepy Hollow at that time.
You feel creeped out just like looking at the trees and stuff like that. It's like
you can literally see the moon.
Not counting Big Fish, this was like, in my opinion, like one of Burton's like last really good films before he went totally crazy with like the Alice in Wonderlands and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory stuff. But the cast in this is great. I love Johnny Depp as Ichabod. I love how he's like a police investigator or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's investigating all these murders. He's investigating all these murders, but he's squeamish. He doesn't like the sight of blood.
Yeah.
And he's just like this big kind of like a big dork who's kind of forced to be this hero. And he's got great chemistry with Christina Ricci. And I love Mike, I'm a huge fan of Starship Troopers. I love that Casper Van Dien is Brom Bones in this. He's a great asshole. Yeah. And then who do you get to be the Headless Horseman? You go for one of the craziest of crazies. You get fucking Christopher Walken of all people.
At the height of his power in the 90s.
And you give him like razor teeth.
You look spooky as fuck, man.
Ride a horse and just fucking yell, and that's it.
Yeah.
The 90s were just such a great time for, and we've said this before, for independent films with great performers, minimal budgets. You didn't need $200 million to make a movie, to make a blockbuster. You could just do it. Hey, guess what? You can do it with acting.
The 90s were just off the wall shit. You know what I mean? The 90s was a time, 90s was an anything decade. You went from the 80s, which was big hair, big everything, outrageous, to the 90s was just anything would go, any kind of music, any kind of film. And this is a perfect example of it, Yeah.
We've got Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, Miranda Richardson was good in this, and rest in peace, Miranda Richardson. That was very tragic what happened to her. Michael Gambon, I forgot he was in this. Casper Van Dien, Jeffrey Jones.
Yep, Jeffrey Jones, Michael Goff.
Christopher Lee was in this.
Oh yeah,
is he really?
He's the judge in the very beginning who sentences. Because like the original story of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was that. He was a dorky, but mean school teacher.
Yeah, he was not a likable character.
Yeah, he wasn't a likable character, but he didn't deserve that necessarily.
Right.
Here, he's kind of a dork again, but he's a police inspector, visiting, and this idea that he, approaches everything from a perspective of science.
Yes.
He's introducing forensics. That he's like a step ahead of everybody, so everybody makes fun of him because nobody's caught up to where his thinking is. And it's a top-notch film. We covered it, I think, the first year of the show, one of the Halloween movies that we did back when we were doing Silver Bullet and all that, and I think this was Ryan's selection. For Sleepy Hollow, and it's a fun one, man. They don't make them like this anymore.
No, like I said, I wish Tim Burton still made this type of stuff.
I wish anybody did.
Yeah, but just like I said, just the look of it, you feel creeped out. I love how it's still a period piece. Like, you know what I mean? That's how the original Disney version was. It's taken place in the same time frame and stuff like that. And It's just so good. Johnny Depp he's quirky, but he's not like so over the top weird as a lot of his characters became. And
Right.
Ichabod is still a dork, but he's so likable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, this was right at the same time that he did The Ninth Gate.
Mm-hmm.
This was right at the same time that, huh?
From Hell.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this was right, and I love From Hell.
So yeah.
From Hell is just holy shit. That's a soup. Have you seen that, Eric?
I saw it in theaters and I haven't seen it since, but I've been meaning to revisit it because everyone says it's. I honestly remember nothing about him being addicted to opium and Heather Graham's in it. That's it.
Yeah.
Franklin Jella's in it too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, I like him a lot.
Wait, Frank? No, he was in The Ninth Gate.
Right.
That was The Ninth Gate. This was Ian Holm.
Right.
Yeah, that was a Hughes Brothers film. Back in the Hughes Brothers made super intense movies.
And that's the Jack the Ripper story, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the Alan Moore graphic novel. I've got the graphic novel back here, and if you ever get a chance, please, read it. It's a fantastic story and like a really interesting twist on who the Ripper was. Which, if you haven't seen it for a while, I won't give it away.
Okay.
But it's a brutal movie. It's a brutal movie, especially with the depiction of the way the women, the hookers, the prostitutes, and streetwalkers were treated back then. Holy shit, it's rough.
Time After Time's a good one too about Jack the Ripper.
What is it?
Time After Time with David Warner, Malcolm McDowell, Mary Steenburgen.
Isn't that the one with Christopher Reeve?
No, that's Somewhere in Time.
Okay.
Time After Time, it has David Warner plays Jack the Ripper. And,
does he really?
Malcolm McDowell plays H.G. Wells, and it's got Mary Steenburgen in like the 80s. Mm-hmm. And it's got to where H.G. Wells finds out who Jack the Ripper is, which is David, which is a friend of his, a surgeon played by David Warner, and they ended up coming to the 80s in H.G. Wells' time machine.
Oh wow! Yeah, David Warner.
There aren't enough, and maybe they sort of peaked after From Hell, but again, not a lot of good period piece, Ripper movies. There's a great series, and it's on Netflix called Ripper Street. Have you ever seen it?
Never heard of it.
It's a great, it's like 5 seasons long, and it takes place in Whitechapel.
Okay.
And the very first episode is based on it takes place about 6 months after the last Ripper murder, and the Inspector Aberline character is only a recurring character, but they've got this one last lead before like his superior officers are ready to close or cold case the situation, and it starts off like 6 months after the last one, but it is 5 seasons long and it is fantastic. So if you get a chance, Ripper Street on Netflix. It's got the guy who played Sir Bronn from Game of Thrones. He's one of the police officers. And I don't know if anybody has seen this movie, the Pride and Prejudice movie, the one with Keira Knightley. It's very cute. It's the guy who's like her main love interest. Is it Mr. Darcy? Yeah, Mr. Darcy. He's the police inspector, and Sir Bronn from Game of Thrones is his partner.
Okay.
And it is a brutal, old school 19th century British police series.
Okay.
But yeah, Sleepy Hollow. That's a really good fucking movie. I
Definitely.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it anytime soon. There should be movies that, like you said, work around Halloween time.
Mm-hmm.
But then, now, that time is kind of past. And you want to start to get into like the cold weather movies, that kind of thing, and that kind of stuff works too. So, all right. Should we go with another one?
Let's go.
All right, let's see what we got. Here we go. Oh, what do I got? Hey, all right. I'll take this. I'll buy that for $1. I've got one of the few examples of a remake being better than the original. And I'm not talking about Suspiria. I'm talking about The Omen.
I remember really liking that remake.
Yeah.
I really did.
One of the first something shitties I did was the original Omen.
Okay.
I do not consider it to be a scary movie. I don't find it scary because nothing really scary. Like the kid, I don't think it's. I don't think the Omen itself is a good premise, or it might be, but you're. Hold on a second. Hey man.
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much. Not too much. Another day, another nickel. So
No, you got a raise.
yeah, that's it. That's it. So we went through 2 movies. Should I rehash very quickly what we went through?
Sure, go ahead.
Are we each doing a stack, or are you just showing off the 6 that you're gonna cover?
I just showed up the 6 I'm going to cover.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed, Patrick.
Yeah, we're not getting into that. So
Okay.
the first.
Let me put away my kickboxer movies.
Yeah, please. Yeah, feel free. The first one we covered, and I don't think you've seen it. Have you seen it? Ginger Snaps Back.
No, I have not, but I do know about it.
How is it? I don't get it. Okay. It's on Tubi. Please watch it.
Mhm.
Please watch it. I'm just out here in the wilderness, yelling at the sky, for people to watch these movies.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? Now you know my pain. You know my pain when I've been talking about the movies I love so much that everybody gives me crap about.
Like
But so I do feel it. I do. No, that's Eric.
You just mentioned Kickboxer.
Yeah, but that's because Eric paid me to do it.
I'm broke as shit. I didn't pay you nothing.
Second movie was Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Sleepy Hollow. No, I've seen Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow is brilliant.
Yeah. Very, very good. But on Tubi, Ginger Snaps Back. Forget the other 2.
Is Catherine Isabel in that one, or is that a different actress?
No.
That's
They're
right.
all in there. The sisters are in there again.
Okay.
And this time it's set in the 19th century, where they've managed to take refuge in the wilderness inside a soldier fort that's being besieged by werewolves. So it sets up the original story of how the werewolf bloodline begins for the red and the black.
Okay.
And it's like 90 minutes long and just an extraordinarily underrated werewolf film. Good stuff.
Should I mention I found a werewolf movie yesterday? Try. You know what? I'm not. No. Never. I actually did find one, but I'm afraid to talk about it because I'm afraid I'll get kicked out.
You're a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
But I did find one. I did find a new werewolf movie, and those are, that's actually really hard. Finding werewolf movies, they're not easy to find.
No, they're very easy to find. There's a ton of shitty werewolf movies. I have
a good one is easy to find.
Yeah, a good one is very hard to find, but I'll say to find a good one, you got to find 1 in 5.
Yeah,
I'd say 1 in 5.
Maybe
1 in 5. Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
It's Sturgeon's law. 9 out of 10 are just going to suck.
Mhm.
Because there are some werewolf movies, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm watching that. You can just tell, but you're like, no.
Well, I just felt like, you know what? I thought, well, lightning that can't strike twice because, you picked out a brilliant werewolf movie for us to watch on the ISC show. And so I said, well, you know what? I can strike back too. Never Cry Werewolf with Kevin Sorbo. I mean, that's got to be something. It's got to be worth something. Don't laugh. Don't.
I'm laughing.
He's not. Mike isn't frozen. That scowl is being done on purpose.
Well, you know what though? You know what's weird? It's like, okay, but then
This is
again,
like a Joe Biden speech.
But what makes you recommend a movie like Ginger Snaps Back? What's the reason behind you promoting it? What makes you want to share it?
It's got a great story. It's got good creature effects. It's intriguing. Like you actually, I followed the story rather than just waiting for transformations. And I'll give a spoiler. There are no there's subtle transformations here.
Okay.
It's got a heavy Native American mythology to it.
Okay.
Because they literally are trapped in a soldier fort in the 19th century in the middle of the wilderness. So there's a an ever so slight, almost like a Wendigo kind of storyline going on here.
Okay.
It's a real, and like I said, every once in a while, I'll turn on a movie that I have no idea what it's about and just sit down and watch it and be blown away.
Mhm.
This happened for me maybe I saw this like in 2007. And like I said, it was a Sunday afternoon and I'm just laying on the couch and it was one of those Encore channels. And I was like, okay, what the fuck is this? And I was like, what the fuck? And within like 10 minutes,
Mhm.
I'm just like, what the fuck am I? This is fantastic. Like, how do I not know about this?
Yeah.
And, it's weird because I feel like this is my whole collection. I could just label it. How the fuck have you not heard of this movie?
Yeah.
And it's just great. And
Mhm.
again, here I am, 1 out of 5, 1 in 4. 1
I,
in 4.
I have about 257 movies that I feel like that. Like I'm the only one out there in the wilderness talking about them. No one's listening. No one cares. I've discovered them, and nobody else has. I feel I'm with you about that. I do.
People either get caught up on back catalogs or they get caught up in trends. That's just kind of the way that it seems to operate. You get caught up in your back catalog, in which case you're still talking about, Carpenter, or you're talking about, Cocaine Bear, because Terrifier sort of disappeared from it had its 30 days,
Mhm.
and now it's gone, and now it's Cocaine Bear, and now it's, it's Violent Night, and then, next month it'll be something else.
Yeah.
In between all that, there are actually some good things happening. We've had Cabinet of Curiosities, Del Toro's. We're about to have Pinocchio.
Mhm.
The new Christian Bale movie Christian Bale's about to drop a Netflix movie based on a police investigation that involves Edgar Allan Poe, The Pale Blue Eye. So there are these small things there are still people doing it, but it's on a month. You have to look for it.
Mhm.
You have to look for it because I won't find it in my Twitter timeline. I was just talking to Sydney about this today. You're not going to find it. So it's almost like this underground railroad of people that are, this underground that are actually talking cinema, because there is actually good shit that's happening nowadays. But yeah, it's not, it's 1 out of 10.
I don't mind. I don't mind. I know there's a lot of people who love looking back, at older movies and whatnot, and they're hooked by that. Yesterday's Horror, and I respect that. I do. But wow, it's like when I see the same guy, I see the people buying the same old shit from 40 years ago, and well, like, man, this is one of the reasons why horror is where it is. It's because you guys can't fucking let go of the past in order to see the future.
What I discovered from Julia is that, and she's invaluable. She really has been invaluable. In terms of what she's taught me, is that it's not just horror. It's not horror. It's just Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's corporate Hollywood. Like I've said before, we're in producer-driven content right now. It's not director-driven. It's not actor-driven. It's not writer-driven. It's producer-driven. Kind of sludge. So that just happens to be where we're at right now. There are 4 or 5 titles that I've dropped since I just talked today about After Yang.
Yeah. That was such an unusual movie too, because that went against everything that we normally see from A24. A24 it gets a massive hype and everything else, and yet somehow,
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't know what you're talking about, because I never see any A24.
It's there. They're hyped. I mean, they're. I'm
an A24 fan. You know that I am. I never see this thing that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I never see it.
Yeah, I see it. And the thing about it is, though, it's like this is just one of those movies which made it so cool for me. Was sitting there watching it and listening to you and Sydney talk about it. Was like they just didn't know how to market it. They didn't know how to present it. They didn't know how to promote it. They didn't know how to market, to get it out there.
I don't think that they do much marketing at all. It just seems to. I don't know if their movies are making money or not. It just seems to stand on its own merits. But what he's talking about is After Yang. That's what I had talked about with Sydney today, and that's another movie. I think it's on Showtime right now. If you have it, that people should be watching. And it looks like Colin Farrell might be nominated for the
Oh,
Academy Award
Oh, wow.
for a sci-fi movie.
I think he could get up for Banshees of Inisherin.
He may be the first actor. And there's speculation that he may be the first actor to be nominated twice for the same category in the same category. You know,
Wow.
two different nominations. So is it 2 out of 6, 2 out of 5, or something like that? You know, he'd have 40% of the nominations. But there are these movies out there. You just got to look for them.
Yeah.
Now, what we were getting to just when you hopped in, and I was saying this, is one of those rare remakes that's better than the original. And I was talking about this remake from, I think, 2006 of The Omen. Because, you know, maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. I don't consider the original Omen to be a particularly good flick. I think it kind of was Exorcist hangover, and producers saying, hey, they made The Exorcist. Go out and make something, you know, that has to do with the devil.
Did The Exorcist come out before The Omen? I always thought it was the
3
other way
years.
around. Okay.
No. There's 3 years. 73 and 76.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of, you know, devilly kind of stuff happening in the 70s after The Exorcist.
Amityville horror, all that stuff.
How can we capitalize on that success? And so, you know, the cycles are repetitive. But I love Gregory Peck. I was just talking up a movie that he did called the Scarlet and the Black, which is a true story. He plays Monsignor O'Flaherty in World War II, helping Allied soldiers trapped behind enemy lines escape through like an underground railroad through the Vatican. And that's on Tubi too. The Scarlet and the Black. And Christopher Plummer is the Gestapo colonel who persecutes him. And it's a fantastic film. But I thought he was too old for The Omen. He was like 60 years old by the time The Omen came around. I never liked Lee Remick. I didn't find, and this is, I would have said until I saw this movie that it's an unfair comparison. I didn't think the kid who played Damien was scary at all. Like, he's the son of Satan, but he can't do anything. You're like, he just kind of stares at you, and you're like, that's not fucking scary. The one solid performance that I loved out of the original Omen, which is, you know, a Donner film, was David Warner.
He's always good, though.
Yeah, you can't argue. You can't take anything ever away from David Warner. He's really good at that. You know, I thought he stole scenes from Gregory Peck.
One thing I remember, because it's been forever since I've seen both versions. I remember liking Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles more.
Yeah, I love Julia Stiles. Yeah,
I love Liev Schreiber. You know, in anything. You know, even in that Wolverine movie that no one likes but me and my wife, he was a good saber. He was a good Sabretooth. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it on Blu-ray right back here somewhere. Yeah.
He's always, and he can do. Liev can do anything, whether it's a Scream movie, whether it's a Wolverine movie. I got a 10-year-old daughter at home. He's in the fucking My Little Pony movie as one of the goofiest type of characters, you know, in that goofy universe. And it's just funny seeing him being involved in something like that. And he pulls it off. The man is so talented. Hey, Ben. But yeah, I remember liking that couple in the remake more than I liked it in the Donner version.
Here's what made
this movie chemistry.
Yeah, here's what made this movie for me. I thought that couple needed to be younger. They needed to be younger. I also found the kid in this, even though he did what John talks about all the time. He did nothing, and he seemed to make it look interesting. He was just a scary looking fucking kid. He just looked evil. And what I really loved about this movie was the thing that happened through the dream sequences. And I don't know if anybody remembers this, but each parent was having dreams because on subconscious level, they knew that something was wrong with this kid. And they had dreams where they saw who he really was, you know, which is the Antichrist. And the presentation of the Antichrist in those dream sequences were scary as fuck.
Who directed the remake? Was it anyone well known?
Hold on. I'll tell you in a second.
Because I always forget that the original is a Donner movie, and I love Richard Donner.
John
Yeah.
Moore.
No idea.
John Moore. Yeah, I don't know who that is. But this was. It's got the David. No, it's Pete Postlethwaite is the priest. Mia Farrow.
Pete's always great too, and no matter what he's in.
Oh yeah, Michael Gambon is in this too. David Thewlis.
He's always great too.
Yeah. I remember when I first started the show. I think within 20 episodes, within the first month or something like that, or a couple of months, this was a compare and contrast. I did a compare and contrast between Donner's The Omen and this one, and I found this to be far superior. 30 years later, they released it in 2006. It's not a commonly held opinion, because again, people always, for whatever reason, people like the original one, but no, not for mine.
It helps to remember too that when the first Omen came out, that Hollywood actually was doing, those were A-listers at the time. Greg Peck, Lee Remick, they were
get him in a horror movie. Yeah, that was rare.
Yeah, it's very rare, to get that. I mean, I like Lee Schreiber and Julia Stiles, but I can tell you right now, their level of fame was not the same as
no, not at all.
Remick's.
No, it will never equal. Yeah, and Julia Stiles is largely retired, I think, from acting. And Lee Schreiber is Lee Schreiber. And he's not. Lee Schreiber's never been a leading man. But I think, when it's all said and done, he's one of those guys we're going to say, wow, we got decades of really good character work from
He's
guy.
Always memorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I love about he's so self-aware too when it comes to like his different roles. Like we'll bring up Wolverine again. There was, during the pandemic, all these celebrities were getting together to like doing script reads and stuff like that. And they had a get together of all the X-Men actors, like Famke Jensen was in there, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, and they were all having fun. Halle Berry, and then of course Ryan Reynolds shows up, and the joke is, Ryan's so annoying, everybody leaves.
I remember that, yeah.
It's just Ryan and Hugh, and then Ryan says something like, "Hey, I got a surprise for you," and then Leaf shows up, and it's just him for like 10 seconds. He's like, X-Men Origins group reunite. He knows the reputation of that X-Men movie, but he still, he still holds it dear to him because, it was a leading role and it's memorable and he can poke fun at himself.
Yeah. I like that movie. Go ahead, Patrick.
Me too. I liked it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than, of course I hated the ending where they, did what they did with Deadpool, but I thought he made a very good Sabretooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leaf's always memorable. He's always great.
I remember him saying he would never do another one of those movies because he hated having to work out.
Yes.
And he didn't get super jacked.
He got like 40 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. Arms were like jacked out of out of this world, and he was scary.
Mm-hmm.
He was scary, man. He did a really good job in that. I enjoyed that. But this, I would. Patrick, can somebody check and see if this is streaming? It should be. I would recommend. Who has seen this?
I've seen it. It's been a while though.
I seen it, but it was right after it first come out, and I rented it on VHS, I think.
Patrick,
what movie?
The one we're talking about. The Omen.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that at the theater. I saw Wolverine Origins at the theater.
Okay, it looks like it's on HBO Max. It's on Hulu and Amazon.
The Omen. I saw The Omen when it came out in 76. I saw that at the theater too. I was only 12, but I was allowed to go see it.
No, Patrick, I'm talking about the remake, Patrick.
Oh no, I have not.
Patrick, are you drinking?
I am. I'm drinking coffee. No, I have not seen the remake. I have not seen the remake of The Omen. The Omen movies are not some of my favorites.
Well, no, that's another thing too. I mean, they turned it into a trilogy, and the second
there's actually
one
four. There's four.
Really? The second one had William Holden in it, and I remember going to this was back when I told you I used to go to a drive-in, and I went to see it in the drive-in, and it wasn't good. The kid back then wasn't good, and I was just saying today that my opinion on child actors has evolved since I
Mhm.
first started this channel.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you talk about a movie like After Yang, you know, the girl who plays Mika is just mesmerizing, and they're just child actors have just gotten better. But
Wait.
he hadn't. Yeah, that second movie was awful, and then there's a third movie with Sam Neill.
That I'm interested in seeing that just as a Sam Neill fan.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Mhm.
not a great story. It's not, but it is Sam Neill.
Mhm.
And it's Sam Neill playing the Antichrist.
Right.
Feels rushed.
Um,
Yeah.
And Neil, he elevates though. You know, any movie he's in, he elevates it.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is though with those movies? There's nothing supernatural that happens. And it never, like, if you're doing something with the Antichrist,
Mhm.
then you need to show. You need to show more.
What he
Then
can
just-
do. Why are you afraid that he's been
There
born?
is. It just comes
Or you
more
need to
off
get
like-
it. Go
it
ahead,
just
Gordon.
comes more off of, like, it comes more off like Final Destination. Like,
Yeah, you never see anything. Like you need to get a peek behind the curtain.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, if it's the Antichrist, you need to get a little peek behind the curtain. And none of those movies did that. It was, and Gore's that's exactly what it's like. It's like watching they're all like watching Final Destination movies.
Okay.
You know, you're not seeing the devil, you're seeing a window pane go flying at David Warner. You know, you're seeing a spike come down at, you know, the priest, you know, Pete Postlethwaite. You're seeing, you know, and you needed more to create some creep.
Mhm.
And that's what the second movie did, even ever so briefly with those dream sequences. They showed you what he really was. And you're like, fuck, okay, you know, that's pretty fucking awful.
Mhm.
in
And
the
I-
defense, sorry. I get a defense. I think that was done intentionally to where, you know what I mean, to where he would try to stay a little more undercover, a little more hidden, you know, to where he would try to hide, you know, his mischief a little more, because, you know what I mean, because that goes back to the old thing, you know, the old saying that the best way that the devil gets away with his
Right.
shit is that you don't believe in him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's why they did that intentionally.
Right, but it didn't translate to me as a viewer.
Right.
It didn't translate back then.
Right.
I watched it like when I first started the channel, and I'm like, what is the big deal about this movie? It was the same thing when I did the Amityville Horror.
Do you think maybe you saw it too late in life?
No. I mean, I watched it as a kid.
Oh, okay.
I didn't find it particularly scary because nothing happened. I didn't feel that like you watch people die, like in Final Destination.
Mhm.
But you never got. I mean, the one thing that that always gets you is when the maid jumps,
Right.
and kills herself at the party.
Mhm.
You know, so that always grabs you.
Or
And
the
then
baboon scene.
David,
Always
huh?
good. The baboon scene, I think, is pretty scary. Just watching those animals go crazy.
They were actually freaking out on that scene, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, I see. I don't even remember it. I remember that,
Mhm.
and I remember David Warner being decapitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I remember. And you know, again, you know, it didn't do anything for me. I said the same thing about the Amityville Horror. People swear. I still see people in my timeline trying to tell me that the Amityville Horror is this frightening movie, and it's like 2 hours of James Brolin not taking a shower and just looking nasty. And you're like, what the fuck? I could go to a fish show, you know, and you know, see, you know, people not taking a shower, you know, who haven't taken a shower in a fucking. That's all it is. Because like the story only lasts for like a couple of weeks. They only stayed in the house for a couple of weeks, right?
Right. Like less. I think it was like less than a month, maybe.
Right
20
now.
20 days or something.
Now, here's the thing about that, because we're talking about Amityville. The first 5 minutes of the second Conjuring movie was more scary in terms of Amityville than the Amityville Horror.
It was.
If you remember the seance scene where she does the seance in the DeFeo house,
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine Warren, that was scarier than the entire Amityville Horror. James Wan took 5 minutes that on a microscopic segment of his movie and did something that was way scarier than what is supposed to be this all-time horror classic. And I'm like, who are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's James Brolin chopping wood. It's James Brolin, sitting in front of the fire, staring off into space. You got Rod Steiger there for like 5 minutes.
At least we get Margot Kidder, though.
I try to. I try to forget Margot
Kidder.
I never saw what the big deal is. You can borrow these if you like, but I mean, I never saw what the big deal about Margot Kidder was.
Me either. I never got the like. Oh, I was like, oh, she's.
Yeah, I had a friend Patrick, and he tried to tell us one day that Margot Kidder. We were in this elevator at work. And he's trying to tell us that Margot Kidder was hot. And we were with this guy named Steven, the Scotsman. He was this crass fucking Scotsman. Steve Curran, his name was. And he just looked at Patrick and he took his glasses off and like offered them to him. Just like he said, you can borrow these if you want to. But I never saw what the big deal about Margot Kidder was.
Never.
So, and
my mom used to say she had hands like a man.
Remember that Seinfeld where he's dating the woman who has man hands, and you see him opening the bottle of ketchup?
That's what she did.
Jesus.
He's got hands like Johnny Bench, like the old fucking Cincinnati Reds catcher. Jesus Christ. But I mean, James Wan in 5 minutes did a better Amityville Horror movie than that entire thing.
I think America, though, back then, though, and in its defense, and also the Omens too, in its defense, America was a lot more tightly wound back then too about supernatural movies. I mean, the churches and everything else, they were a lot more relevant back then as far as dictating how far a studio could go. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do remember, you can read about this too. I remember when the Omen Kid come out, and and churches just hated it, and there was a lot of news coverage about how churches were, there because basically, this Damien's winning, right, and so people really were outraged by that, by the one that the devil would win, and two the devil was an American child. Oh shit, that just burned it up. You can see
that about any film, though, Patrick. You know what I mean? I mean, you compare that to any genre or any film. You know what I mean? You could everything was different at that time.
It was different back in the 70s. It was a lot more strict. I mean, shit. Don't you remember? Don't you remember when they used to burn Kiss records and comic books? I mean, you don't see that now. Not. I mean, you don't. Well, not yet. But I'm sure it's coming again. But back in the 70s, they literally would do that. They take out the record albums and the comic books and everything else. And I mean, that was, and pastors would get up there and say, if you go see The Omen, it's the same as, celebrating Satan. And a lot of people stayed away from it. A lot of people, it was controversial.
I don't know, man. If you think about it, maybe the pastors had it right, because I see some of the people in my timeline and I'm just like, okay, it's just a fucking movie, man.
Right.
There are some people who who veer off into that, and
I know,
the occult or whatever, and Satanism or whatever. So maybe the pastors had a point. But in terms of the film, I would agree with you, if not for the fact that The Exorcist had been released 3 years before, who showed us what the highest quality possible horror could be. And so, again, I think you've got producer-driven, even back then, you're going through a cycle of hey, somebody made a devil movie. Go out there and make me a devil movie right now, And so they came up, hey, I got a 5-year-old kid, he's going to be the devil. And I'm like,
still is,
but I mean, so you went from a 12-year-old kid, in Blatty's story, to a 5-year-old kid. Definite parallels,
right?
The devil, and hey, we're just going to kind of switch it up. But it's just, it's not a great story. It's not a great story. A couple good scenes, but like I said, and we just saw a 12-year-old kid scare the hell out of us.
That's why
a couple of years before that. Yeah, and they made a couple. Yeah, they made a couple more of those. With Richard Burton. They got Richard Burton in the second Exorcist movie.
Oh.
Fucking Richard. he must have been really fucking down in his cups by then. Jesus.
Well,
You know what I mean?
they said, like, even Linda Blair said he was drunk on set every night. She could just, when she would
I would have had
she
to
would
have
act,
got
she could
liquored
just
up
smell
too.
she could just smell the whiskey on his breath and his clothes.
He
Well,
had to get
those-
through the shooting of that movie, I think.
I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah,
it.
probably.
Plus, those guys were hardcore back then, man. Like if you hear those stories about Oliver Reed and like
George C.
Peter,
Richard
Peter
Harris,
O'Toole, Richard Harris. Yeah, I used to love that Richard Harris. He used to come on Letterman when Letterman shifted over to CBS.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the first people he had on there was Richard Harris. And Richard Harris would always tell a drunk Peter O'Toole story. Like O'Toole would be on the stage and he would like fall off. He'd be so drunk he'd fall off the stage. And there'd always be some old woman, I guess, who'd been like a fan of his for years, yelling, "Oh God, O'Toole's drunk again." So those guys were getting liquored up back then, man.
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember this story. It was Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe was on Rogan, and he was telling this story about them making The Outsiders. You
Okay.
remember Coppola's The Outsiders?
Yep.
And I forgot how many people were in that.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Tom
Everybody.
Cruise, Swayze,
Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez,
Fuck you.
Ralph
who?
Macchio.
Macchio, Diane Lane. She was
Mhm.
Cherry Valance.
Yep.
And he said back then, he goes, what it was, he goes, we filmed during the day. The production house took us back to the hotels at night. We were all underage,
Yep.
nothing but beers.
Mhm.
Beers and girls. He goes, they just funneled beers and girls to us all night. We got up the next day and did it all over again. He goes, there's no fucking way you could make a Hollywood movie like that nowadays.
That's how it was. Like, I've heard stories, like even Will Wheaton says that's how it was with Stand By Me. You know, as underage as they were, the only good kid was Jerry O'Connell, but that's because he was so much younger than everyone else. They were out, the other three, they were getting drunk, and I don't know if they're getting high, but they were getting drunk in the hotel rooms and causing trouble, and throwing shit out the windows of the hotel, and they once keyed a car or something like that. And then they nearly shit themselves when they found out the car belonged to Kiefer Sutherland, and they had to work with him the next fucking day. And this is, back when Kiefer was still in his like crazy young psycho phase. So I wouldn't want to piss him off. But yeah, that's just how the kids were in Hollywood back then. No supervision.
He said it peaked. He said the peak experience for him because he got sober. He got sober very young in life. Rob Lowe. He's been sober for like 30 years or something like that. He said the peak was Oliver Stone's Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Oliver Stone, Michael Douglas, Charlie Sheen. In the fucking late 80s. Can you imagine?
Oh, Oliver Stone was a nut.
Martin Sheen too. Martin Sheen too.
Martin Sheen too. He's a fucking maniac back then too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, plus, with this coming back to The Omen real quick, to kind of close out on it. Mia Farrow was fucking scary because I think Mia Farrow just is scary.
Mm-hmm.
And
she got a look to her.
Yeah, she looked like a servant of Satan.
Yes.
She looked like a fucking. You're like, oh yeah, get that fucking pentagram.
Yeah,
off.
she definitely had a presence about her that just made you feel uneasy just looking at her. Like, you just looking into her eyes, you knew there was something going on in her head that you didn't want to know what she was thinking. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, you guys take it for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to use the bathroom and I'm going to maybe grab a beer. I'll be right back.
Sure.
And she was supposed to be the innocent one, you know what I mean? The pure one in Rosemary's Baby. And she looked like the cutest one in the whole fucking movie.
You know what? I've still never seen Rosemary's Baby.
Really?
Really?
Good movie, man. Good movie.
A lot of people say this, and it's, I got to be in a certain mood for those type of films, like just devil possession movies or anything like that. But I've heard nothing but, I think Mike said he's watched it for the first time in like the last handful of years. But
I read the book way back when.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie either, but I read the book.
Really?
The book is really good.
Yeah, and I've heard it was like one of my moms, because she was into that stuff. She loved The Exorcist, she loved The Omen, she loved like the I guess you call it like the biblical evil type of movies, you know what I mean? And she always loved Rosemary's Baby, and I've heard nothing but good. And I've seen that the normal clips that you always see, what happened to his eyes and the ending and stuff like that. What I always thought was creepy. What I always thought was creepy was like I've heard the soundtrack.
Right.
And that's proof right there, like we discussed with like Halloween and other certain movies, that if you have a great score, that could help you feel uneasy or uncomfortable or scared. And that score has always sounded cool as hell to me. Rosemary's Baby.
It transforms a movie. It takes something that's not scary at all, and it gives it a whole new creepy vibe, man. It really does.
And that's another one that they made like a handful of sequels to, and then they remade and stuff like that. But
Right.
I know they remade Rosemary's Baby for TV, I think.
Yeah, with I'm trying to think.
I can't remember.
Was it Tandy Newton? I think was Rosemary, if I'm correct. But I don't know. I know they did make a sequel to it, like what happened to the baby afterward, and she's like got him on the run or some bullshit like that.
I think they made it. You know what? I now remember this. I think they remade that movie for Lifetime. Actually,
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that you've never seen Rosemary's Baby, Pat.
No, I read the book though. I mean, I remember that. I just never saw the movie. Man, I think what made The Exorcist so impactful more than anything else, because I think this is the truth. It's more impactful is when you put in truth with your story, because there's a lot of truth in The Exorcist, a lot of it.
It's such a good story. I mean, there's so much else going on besides possession.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I love the possession stuff.
Do I not?
Go ahead, bud. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, no, I have always said that movie is about it. It is about Karras. That is Karras' story.
Yes.
I have always said that.
Yes.
That is Damien Karras' story. Everybody else is just in it.
Mm-hmm.
He is the focal point of that demon.
And then that's my favorite part of the story. I love the possession shit and all that stuff, but I love following Father Karras and his struggle with faith and stuff like that. The stuff with his mom, in my opinion, is just heartbreaking. You know what I mean? Yes. And he's got to deal with that, and then he's literally thrust into this situation, which he doesn't believe at first. The scene where he says, "No, this is just tap water," and all this bullshit, and then he's just in way over his fucking head.
That is Karras' film. Absolutely.
You guys are talking about Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah, and The Exorcist. How I've never seen it, and I mentioned how you first saw it within like the last handful of years yourself, Mike.
Yeah,
and they're saying how good. Gore's saying how good it is.
Oh my God! You can feel like the dread or the evil coming through the television set, and Polanski is about as fucked up as it gets.
Right.
But God damn, he can make a movie.
Yeah, The Ninth Gate is one of his very best. I love The Ninth Gate. The Ninth Gate that's the shit right there.
Outside of horror, we were just talking about The Pianist.
Oh, the
Adrian Brody, the Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit! This guy can just do it, man. Fucked up people make the best art.
That is true. All great artists have something fucked up about them internally. Deep down in the pit of their soul.
Not too many are child rapists, though.
Right.
That's
well,
there's
many different
we're finding out today that maybe that's not necessarily the case.
Oh, what?
Epstein Island and all that.
Because that's he's never really. I think it's really weird how he's still able to not only make movies but to attract the talent that he gets for his movies. Even though he got convicted of that crime, and he stayed away from extradition. But
I was talking about the
art. I will still say that The Ninth Gate is a great movie, and it's one of my favorites.
Movie.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic movie. It's my favorite Johnny Depp. Well, as I get older, I think actually the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie might be my favorite Johnny Depp movie.
That one is a lot of fun.
That's just so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where where you first meet him, where you first meet Captain Jack Sparrow.
One of the best character introductions in a movie, man.
It's perfect. It tells you everything you need to know about Jack Sparrow right there.
He doesn't say a word.
Yeah, he's royal and regal, and then you look on the ship, and he's got like about 6 feet left to have mast.
And he walks off onto the dock. like it's
bribes
happened
that
before,
guy.
many times before.
Yeah, that's just great stuff. That's great stuff.
I was. One quick question, Mike. I thought your Wheel of Horror was about 6 movies that you haven't seen yet.
No, I just said I would pick out any 6 movies from my collection. I said I wouldn't see myself selecting them. So what I described was like that scene in Jaws where Dreyfus sticks his fish in the shark or a shark without looking. And so that's what I sort of did with my collection. I have no idea what these movies are.
Oh,
They're
okay.
from my collection, but I have no idea what they are. I have 3 that I've picked so far. I have 3 more under my chair. And, I'm just kind of going from there. And then,
Okay.
wherever the conversation takes us, that's kind of the way I've been operating on it. So.
Okay, I was wondering because it's like I'm going like I think he's already seen all these movies. I'm going like he's coming out with 6 new ones that he doesn't know anything about, and then then he's going to start watching them.
I'm sure if I went through this collection, I probably could find 6 that I haven't seen, but I'd be hard pressed. Most of the movies that I, own, I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some that I've purchased that I've seen that I haven't taken out of the wrapper yet, but it's simply an issue of adding it to the physical library.
Right.
That kind of thing. Like After Yang, like it's out of the wrapper. I haven't watched this. I saw it on Showtime once, and then I watched it last night on Showtime again because I didn't feel like I was like Bill. I was too lazy to get up in the room and go over and pick up the Blu-ray.
But you didn't pay $3.99 when you already owned the fucking movie.
No, did you guys hear that story about Bill? Do you know Bill who's been on the show? Have you been on the show? No, I guess you guys haven't
met Bill.
No, Bill's a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for like 35 years.
Bill's cool.
And Bill's a good guy.
Yeah.
And when we did the Devil's
Rejects. Yep.
It was going to be me and Bill, and it was. And we got on there, and I just told him, I think I just watched it before we went on the show. And he said, I just watched it a couple of days ago. He goes, but I was on the couch, and he goes, I was too lazy to get up and go over to the cabinet and grab the DVD. So instead of getting up off the couch and grabbing it and put it in the DVD, he paid $3.99 to rent it
stream it, yep.
with his remote control rather than just fucking get up and walk. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh.
And he probably could have watched it for free on Tubi too if he wanted to. That's the thing.
Probably. He's too fucking lazy.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's fucking Boomer. I'm like, okay, Boomer. Jesus Christ. All right, so go ahead.
Because that's what I thought of when you mentioned that. Because I said, oh, you know what? I don't know. I didn't know if it was just going to be your 6 or all 6. So I grabbed 6 and went like, yeah, these are movies I haven't seen before, but I'll be happy to talk about them because I think they're great movies, and I want to, But yeah, this is fun. This is what you're doing is fun too. Good.
Didn't you mention some sort of Kevin Sorbo movie?
If I wait, I want to wait before I say anything. Let me consult.
Let me consult my lawyer.
I will let you know that it's Eric's fault. So what I say, if you kick out anybody, you got to kick him out first, then me.
How the fuck is it my fault? I can get my own ass in trouble with Mike. Trust me, I don't need you to do it.
Let's move on, shall we?
I did find a Kevin Sorbo movie. I did find one at the library. Because it was at the library, it was only a dime.
Yeah, that's why.
You have to pay me a dime to take it.
Well, you know what though? I will say this, and you're gonna probably like, what the hell? But I will say this, okay, like the genre that Kevin Sorbo is actually pretty decent in. He's actually not his Western movies that he did like 6 or 7 of them or 8 of them, I think. I think some of them were made for Ion. They were actually pretty halfway decent. I was really surprised. I'm like, wow, he's better here than he was in Hercules or Andromeda. He's actually it may be faint praise, but I got to give it to him. I think he's a tool, but as far as his movies go, he's actually, as far as his westerns went, I thought they were decent. So I decided to take a gamble on the werewolf movie. Plus,
Somebody, go ahead.
well, plus, like I said, you don't really find a whole lot of werewolf movies out there.
That's because they're all shit.
For the most part. For the most part.
Look,
Yeah.
I run a channel called An American Werewolf in New Jersey. The werewolf is my favorite movie monster. I'm always on the lookout for a decent werewolf movie.
And you can't find one.
That's
not true. He found one.
That's the criteria. A decent werewolf movie. Now, there are lots of werewolf movies, but I'd say 8 or 9 out of 10 of them are just bad. And even the ones that, because I've had this, this take before, even the ones that a lot of people like, not for me. Not for me. But in terms of Westerns, they say that every Western is a morality tale. So yeah, I'm always interested in trying to giving a Western a try. It's a dead genre.
Yeah.
The Western has gone the way of the martial arts flick.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Yeah. It doesn't exist anymore. That one, I heard that one with Gina Carano, but it's only on Daily Wire. Is supposed to be pretty decent. But past that, yeah, it's a dead genre. It's sad. I hope one day, it spins back around, but that time in history is done.
Mm-hmm.
What's the guy? Is it Scott Cooper? The one who did Hell or High? He did a Western trilogy about, modernity in, the American West. That part of the world it isn't there anymore. It's sad. It's sad because there's some great fucking
there's not that many Westerns. I mean, good Westerns. And the thing is, a lot of the Westerns they're being defanged too because people want to ignore history, so they can't put Indians in there other as noble savages, and that's not how it was. The Indians were cruel and fierce, I mean, now every time you do a Western, you can't have the Indians be the bad guys. You got, I think probably Dances with Wolves was probably the last movie that showed Indians as being, like bad.
No. I'll tell you right now, and I can't recommend this movie enough. Hostiles with Christian Bale.
Yep.
It is a savage fucking Western. Christian Bale, Wes Studi, Ben Foster. Oh, Jesus Christ, that movie is good.
Yeah.
One of the best movies I've seen, period, in the past 20 years.
I remember you were going to do an episode of it, and I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want spoilers, but I love Ben Foster, and that's why I got it in my queue. Yep.
Yeah, I did it with Sydney. It's just fucking 7-star, man. 7-star. All right, let's move on to the next flicky flick tune, if I may. I'm not leaning here because I'm, my back is going out on me. Oh, well, I seem to be picking films that probably most people have not seen today, but that's too fucking bad because, like I said, even if that's the case, then you just have a new movie to add to your list.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of Eric, who I sent a copy to.
You did.
You sent a copy of Werewolves Within to Eric? Hi.
No.
Bye, Patrick.
Anyway, as I was saying, this movie with Brandon, is he still talking?
Probably.
Still talking.
How about that? I'm going to
Whoa.
Go ahead, Mike.
Werewolves Within was a great movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he didn't stop.
Patrick, we're talking about Possessor. All right, so Brandon Cronenberg.
Is he related to David? I was wondering that when I read the back.
His son.
Okay.
It's his son. Brandon Cronenberg, who also did another fantastic, and Patrick will appreciate this.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because it's an IFC film.
Ah.
Antiviral.
Yeah.
Which is just a fantastic film. But this movie, on the other hand, is next level shit. And I saw it again. It was another movie that I had seen in my Hulu queue for quite a long time. And I just, it just kept, you know, you see a movie and you're like, I'll catch it next time. 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 And then finally one day I'm like, okay, I'll just give it a try. And it was another movie I think that I watched on my iPad. And within 5 minutes, just absolutely mesmerized by this original concept of people who can, let's say, how can I say? They want to kill somebody. They want to kill somebody. And they'll kidnap somebody close to them and implant a device in their head that allows an assassin from a remote location to overtake the body. And then so it's like the person is possessed.
Right.
But it's a technological kind of possession. And then that person will just murder the person in public, probably, because that's one of the scenes. You know, it's a very public thing. And then they'll withdraw the assassin from the consciousness, and the other person takes the blame.
Smart.
It's fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal fucking flick. I'd never seen anything like it. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg of what this movie's about. You know, you've got a female action lead. I can't remember her name for the life of me.
That's what I was surprised, because when I did my unboxing video to show like what you gave me, I was surprised that, because I don't know the lead's name, but I couldn't tell, you know, whether it was male or female.
Andrea Riseborough.
Was that what it was?
She did Mandy with Nicholas.
Yeah. She's the assassin. Go ahead, Eric. What were you saying?
Well, I was saying, and I read the back of it, and it's like, is he anything like his dad? Does he do body horror, or what type of genre would you say he is?
This could fall under body horror.
Okay.
It's a little more subtle than that. In that, like, it's a lot more layered than a lot of what I've seen Cronenberg do. A person pretending to be another person, pretending to be another person. With Antiviral, it was about like injecting celebrities' blood.
Oh,
it was like the obsession with celebrity and people injecting, you know, a celebrity's blood inside them. It was, it qualifies as body horror. It's a little more intense. It's like the difference between Stephen King and Joe Hill.
Okay.
It's got a bit more of a modern edge to it. Hold on, we got Ben here. He said Possessor's a kick. Yeah. It's body horror. But I was able to send Eric a copy. So hopefully you'll get to it soon. But nobody's seen this either?
No, I have not seen it yet. But I'm a big fan of his dad's early work. I've been intending on checking it out. I am going to stop waiting and check it out. It sounds really good.
It's really fucking good. Next level stuff. Level stuff. Patrick, have you seen it?
No. I went to get it when my video store closed, and they had already sold it out, so I missed out. But I've heard nothing but great things about it.
I immediately after watching it that one time ordered a DVD, and I just found like a used copy. But then I decided, you know, the hell with it. I just want it on Blu-ray, and so that was the copy I ended up sending to you.
Okay.
So yeah, that and Ravenous, put that at the front of your queue.
Absolutely.
In fact, you should probably, I mean, those would be movies you would probably want to cover. They're worth talking about. It's good stuff.
Here,
it's hard to describe because the only like known actor, well, Jennifer Jason Leigh's in it.
Oh, nice.
Sean Bean. Sean Bean is in it. It's pretty fucking graphic, but like I'm in a position where I don't want to say too much about it because no one even on the panel has seen it yet.
And
so,
she's worked with his dad too, because she was in Existence, which was a trippy movie.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in a long fucking
I
time.
don't know if it was Ethan Hawke or Jude Law that she's with, but
Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Jude Law, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That was a weird fucking movie too. But again, that's Cronenberg for you.
Have you guys seen Crimes of the Future?
Mm.
That's
You say
different.
you say antiviral too, huh?
Yeah, antiviral. Hold on. I'll read the descriptor for you. Celebrity obsession has reached an all-time high, with the public now clamoring to be infected with the same diseases their idols carry. At the Lucas Clinic, Sid March sells injections of live viruses to those fans who can afford it. But Sid also has a black market trade in illness, selling viruses smuggled in his own body to piracy groups. After super sensation Hannah Geist reveals a new disease she carries, Sid is quick to capitalize on the opportunity and inject himself with some of Hannah's blood. When Hannah dies a few days later, Sid suddenly becomes the target of rival clinics and collectors. And as the virus begins to destroy Sid's body, he must find a way to rid himself of it before he suffers the same fate as Hannah. A chilling look at obsession in all its most twisted forms.
Is there anyone well known in that one?
Interesting.
Actor or actress?
Not that I recognize. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll read some of them. I'll read you the top four. Caleb Landry Jones, Sarah Gadone, Douglas Smith.
Oh, Sarah Gadone. Sarah Gadone's a good actress.
She looks familiar, but I can't think of anything I've seen her in.
She did the 9 Lives of Louis Drax, which I highly recommend.
Okay.
That was really good.
I just love the cover of that movie because I've seen that poster before, but I just love the cover of the movie of Possessor.
Antiviral? Oh, Possessor, yeah.
Yeah, the one with the face that's kind of getting stretched out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really fucking solid. But I mean, if you think about the two movies from the same director,
Mm-hmm.
they're two completely original concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Completely original concepts. Yeah, you don't see about it. You don't see or hear of it anywhere else. It's good stuff. All right. Hopefully, the next one is something other people have seen. All right. Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we've all seen. I'm sure we've all seen this. Fede Alvarez's
Oh yeah.
Evil Dead.
Yeah, me and Gore were on the episode with you.
Yeah. Now, was I the only one who thought this was better than the original?
No, I did too.
No.
Okay.
It's really close.
I thought they were. I actually. They're so close. I mean, they're so.
They are.
They're so close. I love them both. I thought both the remake and the original were just they're neck to neck. I mean, it all depends what day you ask me what I think is better. Yeah, that's an outstanding remake. I have high hopes that Evil Dead Rise. It is not going to go into silliness. It's going to stay serious, and I welcome that. I'm really excited to see that movie.
Is it Raimi?
I don't think Raimi's directing it.
No,
I think
he
just
didn't direct it,
producing.
No. Okay.
Yeah, they're producing. But
I have a strange feeling it's going to be campy.
oh,
This is an anomaly what we got here with Fede Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised how many, quote unquote Evil Dead, purists can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
They want the campy stuff. But I thought
the
that
first
this
movie wasn't campy. I want to know what they're talking about. The first movie was not campy.
Not
But
the
they
first,
got
the second and third were.
right. They got campier as they went along. That's the thing.
And quite honestly, as far as I'm concerned, big mistake. It's like I said this before, and I'll say it again. Sam Raimi has enough clout that if he wants to do a fucking comedy, let him do a fucking comedy. But don't fucking take a franchise like that. And he did the same bullshit in Spider-Man 3. Like, look me, I'm gonna be funny. Okay, awesome. But this is not the movie for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't like Army of Darkness. I've never liked Army of Darkness.
Yeah,
I thought that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all I had to say. I don't get it either. I don't like it either.
I thought that the original had a lot of cool concepts. The way that Raimi rolled the camera along the ground and some of the shots, and it's clearly on a light budget, so
It's all do it yourself, yeah.
Yeah, it's DIY and that kind of thing. But as the movie progressed, I thought it definitely sort of veered into campiness, and the way that the sound just kind of kept. The pitch just kept going up and up and up, and
it's a lot to process by the end of the movie, because by the end of the movie it's just loud. You know what I mean?
It's just noise.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like. Let's just say like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like that last 15 minutes of that movie. To me, it's just it hurts the senses for me, because it's just so. I get air quotes. That's the point, but it's just so. It's loud, and I don't want to say obnoxious, but it can get that way because it takes place because it's for such a long period of time in the movie. And I'm glad it's not like that in the remake for Evil Dead.
House of a Thousand Corpses, the last 15 minutes of that was a sonic assault. But this is, I think Bill described it as the Three Stooges. And that was sort of what Raimi's goal was, to create like a Three Stooges type of horror movie.
Oh God, yeah,
by a slapsticky kind of thing. But he achieved that in the first one, I thought. I saw it clearly.
Yeah, by Army of Darkness, like Ash is getting poked in the eyes, like literally they do the Three Stooges block, with skeletons and stuff like that. It's super Three Stooges, and he introduced the term fake shemp. You know what I mean? We talked about that. Yeah. When they couldn't get Bruce Campbell, they had someone else, film behind him with the same hairstyle, stuff like that. So Raimi is a huge Stooge fan, but you can tell that influence like really got into it by the time Army of Darkness came out. And
that's all good, but it's like me, it's like Jen, it's like, okay, you love the Stooges, we all love the Stooges. But if you love the Stooges, go make a Stooge movie. Just go ahead and make that. Don't sit there and say, well, just because it's your ball, just because it's your ball, you sit there, well, I can do whatever I want with it. Yeah, but you're asking us to follow it and to pay money to see it and support it. And it's like, why am I going to do any of that or have any respect for the movie you're making when you yourself don't have respect for it yourself?
That's a good point.
I think he does. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of the movies, but any of them, any of those three. And I remember saying that by the time I had gotten to talk to Walk the Cinema about the original Evil Dead, I couldn't remember what I had seen. I remember I had watched it that morning, and I was just like, I got there at like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, what? I couldn't remember any of them.
Yeah, you were struggling with our episode too.
Yeah, that had never happened before. And I was like, what the fuck am I watching? But, among many, it's considered like one of the all-time greats, but it's clearly, to me, a horror comedy. And Raimi has always done those campy things. And he can combine really good horror with some comedic elements like he did with Drag Me to Hell. That's a really good movie. It's got comedic elements, but, it's also a horror movie.
Too. Huh? It definitely has one of the best endings ever too.
Yeah, but I mean, in the original Evil Dead movie, he, was clearly starting out scary, but then just sort of moved into this sort of slapsticky kind of thing. This movie, blessedly, had none of that.
No.
This was super serious. As intense as it gets. And
it doesn't stop.
No, from start to finished. First frame to last frame, where you see this attempt at an exorcism, or, they're just going to burn that girl at the stake, all the way to the end, where she has to cut off her own arm, to survive. She's squashed underneath that car. It's unrelenting. And I remember I was living in Jakarta, Indonesia, when I first saw that movie. And I remember the lights coming up, and I looked across, and there was this guy crawled up behind his girlfriend. He was so scared. And
That's
they
awesome.
both looked at me as I looked at them, and they just burst out laughing, but he didn't move.
Yeah.
So it had the intended effect.
Hmm.
That's a damn solid movie.
Yeah.
What else has he done, Fede Alvarez?
He did the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
He produced that. I don't think he directed that though. I'm gonna look at it right now. Fede.
Yeah, Fede.
I like how his Twitter. Oh, he did the Don't Breathe movies.
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
There you go.
Yeah.
He did the Don't Breathe movies. But I like how his Twitter handle, like, you know, you had that little description underneath your picture.
Yeah, I
It's
make
basically
movies
I make movies that piss people
that
off.
piss people off. Yeah. This movie did not piss me off. It's the only Evil Dead movie that I own. It's the only Evil Dead movie that I want. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, he's only directed 3 movies. Evil Dead was his first. Don't Breathe was his second. And then in 2018, something called The Girl in the Spider's Web.
Oh, he did The Girl in the Spider's Web. That's
wow.
that's the Dragon Tattoo movie. But
Well,
it's not.
It's the sequel to David Fincher's Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, it says.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
That's the one
It
with
was.
Claire.
Yeah, Claire Foy is is Lisbeth Salander, but it wasn't one of the books that was written by Stieg Larsson. It was somebody else who was like penning. He signed over the works before he died. The publishing house got rights to it, and they wrote a couple other books. I heard it's okay. I heard it's like super brutal. Okay. Last movie?
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Oh, geez. I haven't seen this in forever. Fuck. I forgot I had this.
Oh,
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
never seen it, but I heard nothing but good.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome movie. That is
Yeah.
a kick-ass movie.
Yeah.
Yep, love that
Yeah.
movie.
I thought that this was going to be the epic werewolf movie.
But aren't you glad it wasn't? At the end, aren't you glad it wasn't?
Yes and no. I was satisfied with it because I don't want to give it a Goy. You haven't seen it?
No.
All right, so I don't want to give any spoilers. I was okay with what it turned out to be.
Okay.
And it's a sort of murder mystery that's set in like the colonial French countryside.
Mhm.
Lots of fog. It's playing on Shudder right now, I think. It's a French movie with subtitles. And so who's in it? Monica Bellucci's in it. Vincent Cassel. Jeremy Renner.
Okay.
Mark Dacascos.
Yeah, but where do I know that name from?
Kickboxer 5. I'm serious. No, he honestly, all jokes aside, he's I only know him, all jokes aside. He is a martial artist, but he's well known as the Iron Chef. He's the host of the Iron Chef.
The chairman.
Is he the Native American character in that, Patrick?
In what, in the movie?
In the Brotherhood, yeah.
Yes, he's the Native American. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the Native American who does do some type of fighting.
I think he's in one of the John Wick movies.
Yes, he did John Wick. Did he do a kickboxer movie?
Yeah, that's what I just said. Number 5. That's why. Yeah. See.
I mentioned a werewolf. I get kicked off. You mentioned kickboxer, and you're still there.
No, I mentioned it out of irony, and then I said what he was really well known for is the Iron
Patrick's
Chef.
just trolling, and then you get, oh my God, why
You know what? He's instigating. He's fucking poking the finger, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
I see how it works. I've seen how it works.
How many times has he already thrown me under the bus, and I can get myself in trouble, like I
He
said.
came into the chat today with me and Sydney and said A24 gets all this. He starts off on A24.
I know I didn't. That's not true. That's not true. I made a point to make sure to tell you that I was not being snarky. Is that the fact that I did not hear? I didn't hear about that. I did not hear about that movie at all. I'm not a
right, which had nothing to do with A24, and it's this other thing that you turned it into.
Well, no, because every single A24 film that comes out, we all know about it. They do. They throw it out there. I mean, we know about the Friday the 13th. We know about all the movies they do. I had not heard about that movie until you brought it up tonight. Not one peep from anybody.
Mike, you ever feel like you're back working with the school children?
Wait a minute. Why am I getting heat? Why am I getting heat when I'm complimenting you? How's that work? I was not being a smartass. I was actually sitting there complimenting you. So why all of a sudden am I being treated like I'm an asshole? I don't get that. I was complimenting you. I look of all the community, like we're on here on YouTube all the time. I didn't see a single one.
Oh, you're getting serious?
Yeah, I was being serious. I've not seen anybody.
No, I mean you're being serious now.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain my point to you. I wasn't being smartass. I made a point to tell you that because we do have fun with A24. But I was actually telling you and Sydney, like, I had not heard about this movie. I want to see it.
Okay.
Your discussion, I was really
intrigued. I said when
by
you were talking about they always get over.
They do.
Whatever,
they do. I mean, they do. They do. I mean, and I was just like, wow, they didn't because you were talking about the box office. And I looked at the box office and going like, that tells me everything right there. That they did not know. They didn't know how to market it.
Like I told you before, I disagree with you completely 100% because I never see any A24 movies get marketed anywhere.
Wow, I'll send you. I can send you some articles. I mean, they're out there.
Like I said, but I mean, I'm not being serious. For me, being serious is something completely different.
No, I made a point because I didn't want you to think I was being, sabotaging your show, and I wouldn't do that. But I was I was really intrigued by the fact that you brought this out, and you said that, I hate to tell you, it's an A24, and I'm going like, I never heard a peep about this, not a word. That's why I asked, what studio put this out? Because I was intrigued. And then when you said A24, then I'm going like, hey, you know what? All right, I never heard of it, but I'm curious. I definitely would like to see it. You definitely piqued my interest.
Well, the peanut gallery feels otherwise, Patrick.
About After Yang? Oh, I'll definitely look it up.
I'm talking about Ben.
About what?
Ben.
I'm sorry. I'm lost.
Are you reading Are you on the screen? Or are you looking at something else?
No, let me go back to this. No. Ben is. What is Ben cracking up about? Ben's laughing. Okay. Well, that's not Ben right there. I can tell you right now. That's Quilted. He's laughing at me.
Do you see the comment in the chat, Patrick?
Yeah, he put up a laughing face at me.
Do you see the one before that, Patrick?
No.
It's on our screen. It's on the screen right now. It's on our
screen.
Look at it. Oh. It's on races against A24. Oh no! How come that's there, not on the chat? That's interesting. No, I'm not a racist or A24. No, I was curious about it. I definitely want to see that. I definitely like to see Lamb. I mean, I'm curious.
All right, let's get something clear from the get-go.
Okay.
I rarely, if ever, am serious about anything on here. I think in 147 shows, 150 shows, I've never been serious about anything. Now, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
If I'm busting somebody's chops, I'm not serious.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
period. If I'm serious about something, that's a completely different thing. And I wouldn't do it in a stream. I would talk to you via, or anyone, in a text or a DM and take it out of the show. I wouldn't run a show like that. Where I work some. I just want us to understand each other, and I want everybody to understand.
Yeah, I know.
I don't do things like that.
Yeah.
If you say things, you say things about A24, but I don't get upset. Okay, I like the production company, and but this is a conversation we've had back and forth. So, I never get upset about it.
No,
so conversely, if I come back with something, I wouldn't expect anyone to get upset about that. But it happens, and so I don't want that to be the case.
Right.
So I apologize if you got bent out of shape about something, but that is never, ever my intention in a stream or anything else to treat anybody like an asshole or, to do anything like that. However, fan disagreements and busting each other's balls, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I get that. I just want to let you know that I'm not always joking. I mean, I was very compliment. I wanted you to know because we do have our fun, but I was actually being serious and I was complimenting you on that because
I know that. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about something else.
Okay.
And I think you put the two together.
Which,
wasn't what I was talking about.
Yeah, I it's fun. It's funny because I was just like, wow, okay, I'm trying to, I'm trying to do the right thing here. Just I know that you and I had that running joke. That's exactly why I made a point to put that in our chat earlier, was the fact that I wasn't joking. I was like actually saying, yeah, this is a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show very much.
Everything that I do in this is done with humor. And if I'm busting on something, I'm busting on a product. I'm busting on a movie. I don't make personal attacks against people.
Okay. Oh, I know that.
I don't
do
that.
I know that.
Okay. Well, okay. It happened. Misunderstandings happen. I apologize if, I hurt your feelings or something like that. I'm sorry. That was not my intention.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the Brotherhood of the Wolf. I will gotta say one point about that movie more than anything else, and see if you agree with me. Why the hell does nobody in America, no American director or any movie has ever used Monica Bellucci right in this country? In Europe, they know how to use her. Brotherhood of the Wolf was great. The Stone Council was great. Irreversible, of course, is a classic. But every time they brought her over here to put an American movie, they just don't know how to use her.
It's completely different directing philosophies. Between the Europeans and the Americans, they're looking for something completely different. It's a different mode of thinking.
True.
It's never going to be the same.
I don't know any other actor is actually like that.
She's not a leading lady over here, first of all.
No.
She's like a co-star, or she's in for a love scene.
Mm-hmm.
Or you see her in the Matrix, the Wachowski's got her, she's got her boobs pushed up, that kind of thing. She's
she's eye candy here in America.
Yeah, she's eye candy here in America. She's not a leading lady. You don't get to see. It's like Hulk Hogan wrestling in Japan.
Mm-hmm. It's totally different.
Yeah.
I find that insulting because she's such a good actress. She's such a good actress. I never seen another actor, both male or female, that has had that problem going from Europe to the United States and being totally miscast and misused. I've never seen anybody have that happen to him as much as Monica Bellucci has.
They don't hire a lot of Europe. Well, I mean, do they hire a lot of European?
Yeah, our Batman's British every fucking movie. So.
That's true. That's true.
Was the Australian one movie and English and British the rest?
The last I saw her, she was Inspector, and I think she was Inspector for like 10 minutes. And that's kind of the last I saw of her. That's the last I saw.
Yeah, I mean,
she's kind of over 50 now, so she's in
a movie I really like. It's called I just had to make sure it was her. It's called Shoot 'Em Up. It's a fun action movie from 2007 with Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
So but then again, she's the love interest, and she's maybe 30 minutes of the movie.
And that movie is a cartoon. I mean, it's a cartoon. It's sort of it's I know it's just they're out there getting a paycheck for that movie, and that's everything. I just like to see her like in a good, solid, serious role like she did in Irreversible or Milena, or the Brotherhood of the Wolf. I mean, she is a good actress. She's a really good actress, but she's never got the chance to do that over here in America.
Well, this is what, 2001.
Yeah.
2001. So it's been 20 years. Maybe as she gets older, she'll, be cast in more dignified things. But here, she's the exotic European hottie.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So she's typecast over here. You know, it's just the way it plays out. But I mean, I'm sure she's making good movies over in Europe, and you know, she supplements that way. That's
Yeah,
just kind
you know,
of the way it's played out for her.
maybe her American movies are just easy paychecks for her, you know.
She doesn't have to do much.
Yeah, she just stands there and looks pretty.
Yeah. You know, she you know, she kind of rises out of the bed in Coppola. For the Wachowskis, you know, she's got the push-up, you know, bra. You know, she's starring with Mendes, you know, opposite Daniel Craig for 10 minutes. I think, you know, it's some sort of shower scene or something like that.
And shoot 'em up. She plays a hooker, of course.
Yeah. So, you know, she makes a quick paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that works over here, and it adds to her acting credits. I'm sure it pays well. I'm sure Monica Bellucci gets paid well for that 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's not just some no-name or something like that, but that's the way it plays out. So,
as a fan, go ahead.
I think, you know, that sort of, now that she's hit that age, you know, that time is sort of over with anyway. I mean, you know, maybe she'll, you know, land a few things here and there, but you don't see that much of her nowadays.
I think she's doing a movie with Tony Collette of all people, called Mafia Mamas, or Mamas of the Mafia or something like that. I think it's a streamer film, but I don't know if it's a serious movie or a comedy. I know she's doing that, but you know, I don't know what kind of movie it is. I saw the previews of it, and I didn't know if it was supposed to be comedy or drama. Really didn't give off. They really didn't give off the vibe. Sounds. Yeah.
If it's Mafia Mamas, then it's a comedy. That would be my bet. That would be my bet. So, all right. Well, that was the last movie, unless I've got something else under here that I don't know about. No, that would be it. So maybe we should just bring this one to a close for today.
This was fun. Even if I'd never seen it, the conversation was good.
Well, I mean, how did we get 1, 2, 3? Well, we brought up After Yang, Antiviral 4, even though we didn't mean to. 5. I'd say we had about 7 movies, and 5 of them a lot of people hadn't seen, which was something that you and Gore had asked about.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, worst case scenario, you get a couple movies to add to the list. And I assure you, these are high quality fucking movies.
And we were still able to talk for fucking 2 hours too. So, you know.
Yeah, we're working on 2 hours, and you know, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So,
well, hopefully, if you consider what I suggested earlier about, you know, having fun with your, you know, having a little bit of fun with some of the movies you got, you know, anything you got for under $1.25 or under, have some fun with it, and you know, I'd love to see some of the movies you get for under $1.25. I bet you get some.
I wouldn't. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't even know which ones were which. They're so fucking intermingled, repurchased, purchased. You know, like, you know, I sent him a Possessor. That was probably a couple bucks. You know, and then to go out and rebuy it on Blu-ray, something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't even recognize which ones were categorized by price. But you know, we can get together, I guess, when we do the IFC Midnight, and then, you know, if you still want to talk about the Midnight Society, you know, we can.
Oh my gosh, yeah, on the 18th it's gonna be slamming. We got
a busy day.
Yeah, it's gonna be we got a hell of a show for that one.
All right, so let's do a round robin and see what everybody's got coming up. And the link to everyone's channel is in the description. So follow their channels. They make good content.
Appreciate it.
They give a shit. So check it out. Eric, what do you got coming up?
Well, the only thing that's worth promoting is Two Bearded Losers is finally back. Our last 2 episodes. Well, we stream live. You know, God help us with fucking technology. Every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Our last 2 episodes, we had our hiatus for about a month, and then we came back and we discussed the masterpiece that is known as Clue. And then last week we talked Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin. And we are now officially into Christmas season, and we are. Alex threw me a curveball because I usually let Alex pick the Christmas stuff because he's Mr. Christmas. He loves Christmas, and he always wants to pick movies that I've never seen. So he threw me a fucking curveball, and this Saturday, 10 p.m., never seen it. I got to finish it. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel. Hey, Internet Eric here. Our first official Christmas movie is Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, of all things. And I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Is that a Christmas movie?
So far, it takes place at Christmas time. The opening scene is at a Christmas party. And like I said, I've never seen it. I've only about an hour through it because it's like 2.5 hours long.
That's a weird one. Yeah, I remember that.
I think he did it to kind of, just play a joke on me type of thing because it air quotes takes place at Christmas. But it's very interesting. I'll say it as far as I've gotten so far. But yeah, this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, live on my channel, we're discussing Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So we got that to look forward to on Saturday. Gore, what you got coming up?
Oh my God, several things. Let me see where I start. All right. First of all, I've got my top 10 of 1981, top 10 horror of 1981 to follow up my top 5 of 1980. Monday that I rescheduled, that I had rescheduled something else and decided to do later on in the month with Patrick, as a matter of fact. Monday we'll be with the Night Watch Zone, following up our Romero zombie saga. We're gonna be doing Land of the Dead. Tuesday, not sure what watch along I'm doing on that, but you can guarantee, bet your ass, I'll be doing one of them. And next Friday, offhand, I'll be discussing Carrie with our own Eric.
That's right.
So, Carrie.
Yeah, the De Palma one. Yep.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's a fine selection.
He did a really good watch along of it the other night. I think it was last night. And I said, we both fucking love that movie. I've discussed it with you, Mike. And I'm like, I will make time with Gore to discuss Carrie because of how much we love that movie. So I'm ready.
That's what we were talking about today, that the best horror and sci-fi are the ones that are grounded in human problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember we did our De Palma show, and we did our top 5, and we both ended it. Our number 1 was Carrie.
Yeah, but even talk about the Dead Zone,
right.
And Johnny, just suffering and losing everything, and it's just so relatable.
Mm-hmm.
What Christopher Walken did in that movie, really good stuff. Very nice. All right, Patrick, what do you got?
Let's see. I got one interview tomorrow with an actress model, Jolene Anderson. She did a short that was commissioned by 20th Century Fox. It's a short film. I think there's probably several of them, but she did a short film based in the Alien universe. So it's called Alien Specimen. It is canon. So it'll be fun talking to her about that. I think it's just her and one other actor and a dog. And then of course on the 19th or the 18th, that's a big show. We're doing IFC Midnight with Mary Wilson. She picked up Come True. That'll be at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and then we're doing a panel for the Midnight Society where we're gonna cover The Monster.
That's a good movie.
That's a good movie. Very good movie. And we'll have a special guest panel of Sledgehammer Horror. Ken and Ashley will be joining us. You, of course, Mike, will be there. And Monty G, the Horror Miser.
Oh, Monty.
Panel, along with me and Al and JT. So we're gonna dig deep into that one.
All right, sounds good. All right, for me, let's see, what do we got? Friday, or at least over the weekend. Friday, Guillermo del Toro, we were talking about this before we went on, is dropping his Pinocchio.
So psyched for that movie.
Yeah, so am I. I'm really looking forward to that. I saw clips of it today. that he released from the Fallon show.
Okay.
And it just the animation looks stunning. I've heard it's extremely dark, fantastic stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Great voice cast too.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard it's like in the vein of Labyrinth, Pan's
Yeah,
Labyrinth.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Is
I'm also going to.
Is that a Netflix release or is that a?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That will be a Netflix. That drops on Friday on Netflix. I'm going to finish up without the watch-alongs, Cabinet of Curiosities, and get a video out on that. And then on Wednesday, I'll be back for Werewolf Wednesday with Sydney again for Black Crab, which is a fantastic Netflix movie, and actually more of a war film than anything else. But it's super dark and takes place in Eastern Europe. And the ironic thing about it is that it was released at almost the same time that the war in Ukraine broke out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's super intense. So another good movie from this year. Trying to keep it modern with the new things that are coming out and trying to keep it relevant. So,
Are you gonna do a best of 2022, Mike?
No, I wouldn't do anything like that. I missed a lot of the things like X. I've been meaning to get around to it, but it's not a priority. I've happened to see Barbarian, and that was really good.
Did you see Pearl?
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't see X or Pearl. The idea of watching some slasher movie about a porno in a barn really didn't. I mean, I heard it's okay. I mean, I heard it's a lot of people say it's good, but
it's okay.
The idea of it, really doesn't jump out at me. And, I sort of respond to these things by impulse.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's on Showtime now if I want to watch it, but I've bypassed it.
I would definitely recommend it only for Kid Cudi, who he's in it. He stole everything he was in. And then seeing Brittany Snow play against her type. That was interesting to see too. But yeah, I was more interested in Pearl. I really want to see Pearl. I was more hyped for that. That looks really good.
I picked up another movie that I want to cover, but I don't want to talk about it just yet. That was actually a perfect film. And so I'm going to be making a video on that really soon. It's not often I get an opportunity to actually see a perfect film because they don't happen very often. But this one was. And so I'm looking forward to making that. Taking the break off in a few weeks and for the past few weeks and just doing those watch alongs, even though a lot of them got hit with copyright, gave me a little bit of breathing room, to figure out what I want to do from here on out. So yeah, I'm good with that.
I'll show you guys real quick. Based on that watch along though, I was sent this because I was talking about that show and how we lost that one. So Bone sent me a copy of The Mummy.
Nice. Karloff?
Yes.
That's a good one. It's too bad Julia couldn't have been here tonight.
Yeah, I hope she feels better.
Yeah. Hopefully she'll be bouncing
really
back.
like
yeah, I like having her on the show. She's a sweetie, and she knows so much. It's good stuff. Okay, well, I guess that's about all there is, unless there's anything that anyone else wants to add. Are we good?
I'm good, dude.
All right, then. My thanks to Eric from Hey Internet Eric here. To the Goraphobe, thanks for stopping in. And for Patrick, we'll catch up again soon. But, maybe we'll do another hangout stream not too far down the road again.
Okay.
And gather around once more.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Oh, wait, hold on. We got one last comment here. And thanks. Both X and Pearl were well-executed movies. I like them both a lot. You may not think a movie about porn would be any good, but Boogie Nights was pretty amazing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I like Boogie Nights a lot.
And Nina Hartley's a hell of a kisser.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, and on that note, all right, everybody, have a good one, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Cheers.
Peace.
Thanks, man.